my my Canva screen. I am on a Mac, so I have the app on my computer. If you're on a Mac, I highly recommend downloading the app and putting it onto your desktop or your laptop. It just works offline too, so it's a great little benefit for it having it offline, so that if you're ever at an open house and you've got awful Wi-Fi, you'll still be able to use it offline. So great feature of that there. But let's get into some Canva tips. All right, so the first one, like I said, I want to start really kind of basic. These are just some shortcuts that I use. Again, I'm all about efficiency whenever I can, and they seem like little things, but if you're doing it every day, you're doing multiple things per day, I think these can help a lot. So I'm going to go in, I'm going to create a design, and I'm just going to create, just a simple design. Just a little tip as well. So Instagram, if you haven't heard, they changed their default, like the ideal size for images. They have now gone to a 4:5 ratio. So 1080 by 1350 is now the ideal size for Instagram photo posts. It used to be the squares that they liked, but now with the way they redid their grid, the 1080 by 1350 is the preferred size for Instagram posts. I'm just going to choose that. Pull that up there with a blank template. So these are just some shortcuts that I use, and I'm going to drop a link to an image after with these shortcuts. But they're just keyboard shortcuts that, again, I just think save a lot of time just to get us started. So the way I used to do things, like let's say I wanted to drop a rectangle in here, I would go up here and I would have to search for it, and I would have to go find it and grab it in there. However, there are some shortcuts that just make all of these things so easy. The first one is a text box. So if you want to just add a text box, same thing. You could go over here, you could type your, grab it in, and you can drop it in there. But you can also just hit the keyboard, just hit T on your keyboard, and it just drops a text box. And it's going to use whatever your default style is there for that. So some other shortcuts are going to be R for rectangle. So same thing, if I just type R, that's going to put it's going to put a square in there, but the square, the benefit of using the rectangle shape is you can now change all of the sides on this. So it makes it a lot easier to edit than dropping in a rectangle, dropping in a square, because you can't edit the sides on a square. So another shortcut there, again, just kind of continuing with the shortcuts. L is to add a line. So if you're, again, same thing, you don't have to keep going over to the elements, searching for it. You can just use these keyboard shortcuts. And then, so we've got line, we've got rectangle, we got text box. And then another one is circle, is C. So pretty simple, C for circle. Again, then once you have it in there, you can change the size of it. And then my absolute favorite keyboard shortcut, because I make a lot of mistakes, is undo. So of course you can go up here and you can undo anything there, but it's just Command or Control Z will undo the last thing you put in there, and you can keep doing that. If like say you're moving something and you didn't like it at all, or I resize this and now I am no longer a circle, I'm an oval. I can just Control Z or Command Z, and it's going to go back to that thing. And then the final little shortcut for it is grouping. So as you start adding layers and stuff to your Canva documents, or your whatever your template is that you're doing, your canvas, you're going to start seeing stuff. You might have your text right below it, and you perfectly positioned it, and now you need to move it around. You can very easily group things together too. Again, if I just highlight the items that I need or I want to group together, and then I hit Command or Control Z, now those things are grouped together. So a very easy way to group them together. And then if you want to undo it, it's just going to be Shift Command and G. So now they're back to individual items. Thoughts on any of those? Anything? Anybody find those beneficial or think they would use those?
Yeah, repeat the last one real quick.
Yeah, so Command G groups things together. So if they're near each other, or even if they're not, but you have them spaced perfectly, see how it kind of created that box around it. So you can go up here and you can hit group, but you can also Command or Control G, and now they're grouped together. And then Shift Command G ungroups them.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, awesome.
Hey, Chris, I have probably like a more like general question that I don't know if it's appropriate here, but I almost always just go into a template somebody else has already made and says it's for Instagram or Facebook and edit that because I don't trust myself to do all of this and line it up correctly. Is there any benefit to making your own versus editing?
It's just whatever works for you. I think the benefit of yeah, well, it depends what you're using it for too. Like for example, I'll use this is a perfect example. It's one of the things I was going to do today, but I don't think we'll get to it. Checklists, right? If you've ever tried to make a checklist inside of here, it's annoying, very, very challenging, very tedious because you've got to line up all the check boxes. You've got to line up the text next to it. I will use that. I'll use a template for a checklist and then make it my own from there. So yeah, it kind of depends on what you're looking for. And then hopefully once you get a template to where where you want it to be, you'll kind of start reusing that template over and over. So you're just swapping in and out the stuff. So, but I think the benefit is just some of that, example, YouTube thumbnail, right? There's a dozen in there, 1,000 in there. If I use it, I can go onto YouTube and tell that someone used a YouTube template for that, right? Or a Canva template for that. So just the originality, I guess, is the biggest thing on that.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So that's the first thing, just some keyboard shortcuts to kind of get you going. Next thing I want to go into is just some element tips. So elements are kind of all of the things that you can add inside of it, inside of a document or a project, so to speak. So on the left-hand side, you have your elements. Now you can search for basically anything in here. You can put in, like for real estate, we love to, I think interior design is one of my favorite categories for that, or home decor, great categories for real estate, especially if, the images, if you pull up the exterior may not match your area. Like a lot of stucco homes or stuff like that, you're not going to see as many out here as you might on the West Coast. So interior, decor, home decor, those are great categories for elements. But I just wanted to go over a couple things that you can do inside of elements or inside of images as well. So I'm just going to throw a photo in here. So these are in my uploads. This is just a photo I have. One of I think the most powerful tools. I love that Canva has this, and it's a pretty good one. There are other ones out there, but background remover is a great tool, and it's a simple click. So I can add any image in here, and then if I just hit BG remover, it's going to remove that background as best as it can. Now you can go in and touch it up if you need to, but I find it's generally pretty good for what you need it for. Now, if I was going to use this as a background image over and over, and I would leave this maybe as the only thing on here, and then I would download that document and then re-upload it so the background is gone. Again, just saves a couple clicks there, but the background remover, you can do that for basically any image. I think you can even use it for some of the elements. You can remove the background, and that doesn't have to be your image for that. But background remover is a great tool. Now you can make yourself pop out of the image or anything you want to do around that. So background remover. I love these inside of elements are frames. So if you just type in the word frame up top, it's going to give you all of these frames that are, if you want a circle image, it's a lot easier to just, put the frame in there and then grab your image that you want and just drop it in there. Now you've got a circular image for whatever project that you're working on. So frames are an awesome element. And then what I love inside of that even more are letter frames. So there are tons, they're different versions of all of the letters. So if I just want to, just see them all, I can hit the see all, and you'll see all the letters here. And these just add, frames to your document. And I think it just helps it come alive a little bit better. So I'm just going to put a couple on here for today. And then what you do is now you go over to your uploads, and let's just say I have this AI image that was created. I'm just going to drag it and I'm just going to drop it into that. And now it's got a cool, if you had an actual word, okay, I got South Carolina. So now you've got, you could put an image of South Carolina as an example here, and you can kind of just, make it pop off. You can then you could put another image behind it. So mess around with frames a little bit. I think they add some life to your images so they don't look like those stock images or just kind of generic stuff that, you just put out there. These are good for stories. If you're on Instagram or Facebook, you can use these for stories, again, just to make them pop off a little bit more. You can also, on the frames, and this used to be so tedious, I'm glad they added this feature. You can now put borders on very easily. So, I want a solid border and I want to make that, I can change the thickness of that. I mean, now that just pops it off the page even more with just that border. And if I didn't want that border to be white, I can change the border color there. So lots of different options for frames. So definitely mess around with frames. And then they even now have, you can make your own frame. So if you wanted some weird shape thing, you can now make your own frame inside of there. So now you've got Frame Maker is an app inside of there too. Another cool element now, I love to put, I just think I try to make things as symmetrical as possible in there. And these, again, was another thing that used to be very challenging to make, are tables. So now, oops, I am going to go in here into elements and I'm just going to put table. So now they've got table tools inside of here. So now you can just click on a table and now it becomes an editable table that I can go in and I can make it just like a table I would in Microsoft Word, or even very basic kind of Google, like a Excel worksheet or something like that. But it just becomes a nice visual table. I can highlight and make a header row on there, and just that. No, that's a text color for that. The color for the line is there. So I can now make this all of that color. I can select multiples and make it that color. So, and then you can also you can change the border, you can change the spacing on things. It's a very easy tool to then, once you have your data in there or your whatever's on your table, you can then control the size and the width by just right clicking on it. And you can size row to content, you can add and delete rows. So they've added some functionality to make tables a lot easier to put, inside of your project. And then the final element that I wanted to go over today, it's more of an app than an element, is the AI image creator. So you can, let's just, I mean, they have millions of images inside of here, but you just want something that's just, super, you just couldn't find whatever's in there. There is now an image creator. If you have a Canva Pro account, you can use up to 500, you can do up to 500 images per month using your Canva Pro account. And it can be, something like, so I put in the prompt here that was couple standing in front of, house and getting their keys. And it gave me 4 different options for that. And so these weren't stock images. They were created now because AI still has some unique challenges to it. On this for sale sign, I don't know what exactly they put hanging out of the side of it there. And then if you zoom in, his nose is little off there. So sometimes words have some images on the AI image creator, but if you go to apps and just put in AI image, you'll have a bunch of different options that are going to show up for that. Now, some of these are paid plugins, but you get 500 free ones inside of Canva every month. Questions or anything on that, anything on the element? So mess around with elements. Today is hopefully just to get you to start thinking about some other things you can do inside of here. The next one is something, it's kind of a little cheat that I use, but it's an awesome cheat. So if you have a pro account, you have access to, again, I'll just grab everything here. I'm going to grab it all and I'm going to delete it. So now I got a blank template here and I want to put in, go to my home decor and I got a pro, so I know this is a pro document. I mean, a pro image. So I would have to pay for this if I wasn't a pro member. I'm just going to pull this image in and make it the whole thing. Now let's just say I needed this and this is the only thing I needed and I wanted to download just this image. Maybe I was putting it into a slideshow or I wanted to add it to a website. If I go to download just this document with nothing on it, so I go to share and I go to download and it's going to say, hey, you're saving $1. I go to download this element. It's going to say there's only one image or graphic on your design. Premium images cannot be exported on their own. So you have to add some kind of element to it. So what I do is I'll go in and I'll add a text box and then I will make it so I'll make it so that it's a couple ways you can do this, but I'm going to make the text white and I'm going to put it all the way to the back. So now it's not there. Now, when I go to download, because there's another element on that image, it is now not a protected image. It's now a custom image that I can now download. So it's a little hack to save you from having to go out and buy some kind of image program, whether it's a Pixel Bay or some other kind of image. Now I've got this image the size I want to, because if you download images from other tools, they're sometimes giant, then you've got to resize them. So now I'm able to make it the size I want, didn't have to pay anything extra for it, and that text that's there, no one can see it. It's not going to show up on that image at all. So little hack that I use to save some money, and then also because I'm so comfortable in Canva, I can very easily search for documents and find exactly what I'm looking for.
So Chris, could you just put like a period in the text box?
Yep.
And
Yep. Yeah, it just has to be some kind of element. Yep.
may I ask a question?
Sure.
Seem to have trouble sometimes getting things to line up exactly how I want them to line up. Is there something that I can blow it up, just that part, that I can then move things around better or something? I just,
yeah, so
I
there
find-
is so there are, I don't know if you what other kind of design tools you've used in the past. They have now added rulers and guides inside. You have to turn them on. They're not default on. I want to say it's Command R, or that didn't do it. There are some shortcuts for it, and then you can also, so you can add rulers to it. I just forget what that shortcut is there too, but you can add those rulers to both the side and the top, and then add guides to make it so that you can line things up. Does that help? I just don't know what the shortcuts are, but yeah, I think you can go up to turn them on too.
Okay, so where would I find some place to turn them on?
Yeah, if you just go to the help there, they'll tell you how to, or just Google it. If you Googled Canva shortcuts, there are more shortcuts than when I went over, and there's a quick toggle on and off. It's something, I think it's like Shift Command.
I think it's Shift R.
Is it Shift R?
Yeah.
To add so you can add the rulers there, and then the guides, just like if you've used any like Adobe Creator, you can do that.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Next thing I had up is branding. So this is, I think, a nice little feature inside of Canva as well. Anybody have their brand set up inside of Canva? Awesome. So if you don't, I would highly recommend it. Just going to, again, save you some time and some energy especially if you have your own brand, or even your company's branding or anything like that. I'm going to go, so you go on the left hand side, it is a pro feature, so you have to have a Canva Pro account, and I'm going to hit add new. I'm not going to do that at all. I am going to go to brand, and then why isn't it letting me add a new brand? Brand kits. Oh, on the left hand side, brand kits. Now add new. So I'm just going to call this Tech Thursday. And you can have multiple brands inside of there too. So if you're doing something for teams, but or maybe someone outside of a team, you can create multiple brands, and then you can just choose which brand you're working in for that project. So first thing, I would add a logo here. So you're going to add all your logos. And then you can add your color palettes too. Great part about this is if you add your logo, it will grab the colors that are in that logo automatically. So it'll kind of pull the swatches. You'll just want to make sure that you have your exact color code matching. So if you have, if you're using a certain brand, you want to make sure that that brand, the colors are as accurate as possible. You can also create your, if you have your default fonts, so let's just say you want to choose your font for your title. You're just going to go in there and choose what you want your default size to be for every time you hit title on your when you're adding text boxes. So you can go on there. You can also add your brand voice. I haven't messed around with that as much, but you can also add photos. So let's say you're on a team, you can add every single team member there, or you're doing stuff for a team. You can add all of your photos in there, and then your graphics are going to be just for if you have, like, for example, if I go into my brand kit for my team or my company here, if I go down here, I have kind of a bunch of different images that are, different scenario, different ways that I'm working. I've got a couple of other real graphics in here. And you can add stuff like the fair housing image down there, the realtor logo, that kind of stuff. You can put them under graphics, and then they're just very easy to access inside of projects. So if I go into a project, I now have my brand. I go into the actual project. And if I go to brand, you'll see I can now swap. I can choose which brand I want to be in and kind of swap in between there. Now all my logos are here, my colors, my fonts, all my photos, and my graphics are easily accessible right there. So if I want to just add work hard, be kind, I can just add that to there. I didn't have to go searching for it, because one of the things, if you worked in Canva for a while, your uploads can get very, 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 very unruly, and they just go on for hours. So that's a great way to kind of just make it so you can find images a lot easier. And then the next thing I want to show you is how you can make them even easier. So I'm probably going to run over a little bit today. If anybody wants to stay on, absolutely would love to have people stay on if you have that. If you are unable to stay on a little later today, I will be posting the recording later, so I completely understand. I appreciate everybody's time on there. But one of the great things with images, where I want to kind of sit here for a couple minutes now, is tags inside of images. So let's just say you've got, again, thousands of images I've uploaded over here. However, if you've got some kind of tag, you can use a tagging system on your uploads to make them easily searchable. So let's just say you are part of a team, or you're doing this design work for a team, and you wanted to put all of the images for all of the teammates together so that you can just type in the word team. I can go into any photo. Well, not going into any photo, but if I hover over a photo, you'll see the three dots. If I click on the three dots, you'll see these tags that come up here. So it kind of auto defaults to all sorts of different things. But if I just put in here team, and I do that for all of my team members, now I can go up to, once I have, kind of organized however I want to do that, now I just put in the word team, and any images that I have tagged for team, I'll use a better one because I've tagged a few things in here. So I kind of may use my client photos for testimonials or anything like that. I may use them on a regular basis. So I have a few of those tagged. So if I just go into here and type client, all of my client photos are there. I didn't have to sort through. I mean, this photo is from 2017. If I was going through my uploads, I would either go find it somewhere else, or I can very easily identify it just by typing team. I've done the same thing, I think, with a few things that say Chris. So all of my Chris images kind of show up that way. If it's in the file name, it will automatically go to that. But if you add the tags, it's just a great way to kind of help organize your uploads that way. And you can do the same thing, like if you've got, just thinking this, hopefully this inspires you to think of great ways that you can start tagging and organizing your uploads so that they're not, where did I do that? What year was that I uploaded that file there? So a great little, hopefully a little hack there for your organization. Questions on that or thoughts on that? Who's used that before?
I have not,
Awesome.
but I love that because I sometimes will download pictures of a house one
Mhm.
day and then 3 weeks later download more houses and I start to forget which house is what picture. So you can tag, whatever address.
Yes, me too.
I like
Yep.
that.
Yeah, awesome. That's definitely a great use. And then the next thing that we're going to go over, for anybody who can hang on here, it is 9 o'clock. Again, I appreciate everybody who has been on so far. If you have 10 or 15 more minutes, I do have more stuff to go over, and I want to make sure to get to them. So next thing is some more organization tips. So Canva has folder capability. So inside of projects, and this is great for like if you had like, let's just say a use for this would be, I've got a new listing and I always want to create these 5 documents for it. And, maybe it's a real template, maybe it's a story template, maybe it's something, whatever you want to do repeatedly, you can create folders and then recreate folders for each one of those. So where I'm going with that is, let's just say, okay, I've got this folder called listing templates. So I have this folder called listing templates, and inside of that listing template is, a brochure, an open house social media, and an open house post. So these are, just sample documents that I have in there. Those are the only 3 things that are in there. Now, rather than going to, each one of these and kind of, either trying to go find them in my projects, which again, if I go back to all my projects, I've got thousands of them in there. So instead, I can just go into my listing templates and I'm going to make a copy. So now these 3 documents are in there. I'm going to go edit them later, but I'm going to go back to the folder itself, projects. So now I've got this folder. I'm going to name this one. I'm going to rename it. So you can either hit the pencil up there. That's the easiest way for me. I'm just going to call this the most popular address in America, 123 Main Street. Now I've got a folder with the templates of 123 Main Street. Now what I'm going to do inside of here is I am going to upload some files. And I am going to upload the images for that. So I could go and find all of those images, maybe, probably can't, but I'm just going to add some random images here from photos that I have. So just select, so you could do this for entire photo. So let's just say you got the raw photos, all the photos from 123 Main Street from your photographer, and you want to upload them into Canva. I would just select them all. Now these images are inside this folder for this property. So now I know these are all 123 Main Street. Now, when I'm going to create an open house folder of the file, so I got my template for my open house. I'm going to go open that template. Now, if I go over to projects and I go on folders, I've got 123 Main Street. Now all my images for 123 Main Street are organized together, and I can just drop them in there however I need to do that. And I know those are all images from 123 Main Street because I have them, I have them inside that folder. So definitely take a look at folders for organization for both templates. So you can use, very easily was able to recreate all of the templates, copy the templates that I wanted for just that property, and then put all the images for that property as well and organize them all together without having to, go through uploads and then scroll. They'll be together in here probably if you uploaded them together. I just find it's a very useful tool. Then what I also recommend for something like that document, the template folder that I created. So if I go to projects and I go to folders, no, let's get back to home here. So if I go to projects and now folders, I would also recommend starring something like that. So if you hover over any of these templates and you want to star them, I'll just go to 123 Main Street and I'll hit star. Now it shows up right at the top of my my starred. So these are like my, my most frequently used things. Now I can easily go, I don't have to go into anything. I just hit the 3 dots, make a copy, and now boom, I've got all of those templates ready to go for that new listing that came on. Does that get a woohoo from anybody? I gotta raise the roof. Awesome. Questions, thoughts on that? All right. So that's some organization tips for you. So we've got tagging uploads, you've got starring items, adding images to a folder, creating the folders, duplicating the folders. So I think those are just some great tips. Hopefully you find our great tips for when you're again, for organization purposes. Now the last one is going to be bulk create. So this is I think a super powerful tool. Hopefully this gets some of, your creative juices going. But let's just say you wanted to create a list of, for today's example, I'm going to use real estate terminology. So I want to make a social media kind of, let's say I want to take all of February and I want to take 25 terms, real estate terms, and put them on social media images, and then also put the definition of what those are there. So I'm going to go and I'm going to cheat a little bit. I've already cheated a little bit, but I'm going to go to ChatGPT and I am going to just tell it very simply, make a chart of 25 key real estate terms, key terms for real estate. I could go a little further. I could say for first-time buyer tips or something along those lines. If I want to do it for just investing terms, you could do that. The first column will be the word and the second column will be the definition. So within like 10 seconds, it gave me a table, a very nice organized table with the term and the definition. And now if I just click this, that makes it a CSV file. So now I have that file on my computer. So now I've created the list now, and of course, check it for accuracy, check it for duplication. It will sometimes take something like, I've done this, this exact thing, and it may put CMA, comparative market analysis. And then it may also put CMA as separate things in there. So it'll do it, almost duplicate it. It did that. I think they did that for I did it for deed one time and it duplicated it like 3 times in there. So you just definitely want to check that. Once you have that file there, you hit the download. Now, once you have the file, I am going to go in, I'm going to create a design. I'm going to go to an Instagram post. And I am going to just hit T to add a text box. Okay. Now so I recommend getting the template exactly how you would want to be for the first page first. So I'm just going to make this a little bigger. So this is where I'm going to put my term. So this is going to be the term. I'm going to go and put it where I want it to be, kind of where I want it to be. And then I want to add a text box there. I mean, a box so that I've got my image on it. I don't want it to be that dark. I'm going to put a line around it, all the stuff that you want to do, kind of get it to where you think you want it to be. I'm also going to go in here and I'm going to add an image. So I'm going to go back to my home decor and I'm going to put, well, let's start with this one. So I'm going to drag that one over, put it behind. I'm going to make it so that it goes in the back. So I'm going to go up to the top here, hit position, and I'm going to hit to back. So now I've got my text here. I've got my text box there. I've got what I'm going to be putting my graphical box in there. I'm actually going to put the text box over there as well. So now I've got my rectangle and now I've got my text inside that box. You want to get it as close to where you think it's going to be as well. So I got that centered in there. Now I've got the image kind of the way I want it to be, at least to get us started. I'm going to go over here to apps, and I'm going to scroll down, and I'm going to hit bulk create. So bulk create, it's going to give you this this tool. I'm going to upload data. Where did we go? And I've got this key real estate terms. So that's the file that I downloaded from ChatGPT. Now, all I need to do is hover back over the text box or click into it, and you'll see this box that popped up that wasn't there before that says connect data. So I'm going to make that the term. And I'm going to go down to this text box, and I'm going to connect data, and I'm going to make that the definition. Once I have everything all set up, so now everything is kind of the way I want it to be, I'm going to go ahead and hit, so you'll see here, I've got page 1 of 1. I'm going to hit continue. I can then choose, okay, I don't want contingency in there. Oh, yeah, I do. I don't want market value. I'm going to go ahead and generate 24 designs. It has now created all of those in there. Now, my text box was pretty small for what I needed this to be. So I probably would have I would have known that that was going to be longer definitions there. So now you're going to go in and you're going to customize each one as you want, but it automatically put appraisal. It put the definition in there. Now I'm going to swap. I can swap out just putting a new image behind each one. So I don't get the same image every time. And now if I had set this text box up a little better, it would have been centered in there for me. Now you're just going to go on and just make sure that everything is where you want it to be and centered. But rather than recreating 25 images, I've got a very consistent placement. I know everything is in the same exact place. At least for the definition part, because those were all kind of one line. So you wanted the key with this is you want to make sure that the template is as ready as possible, so that you don't have to go in and tweak everyone too much. My big thing on this is because these definitions were a lot bigger than my text box allowed for it. I probably would have made that text smaller in there. I would have made it so that I knew more lines were going to fit in there before I connected the data. Questions on that? So that's how you can do that same thing for Reels, or you can make these like kind of video images as well. And bulk create, you could use this for lots of different things. You could use it for inspirational quotes. So one of the things you can do is go into ChatGPT and say, hey, give me 25 inspirational quotes. And if you wanted to post an inspirational quote a day, you could make a template like this for something like that. So that's what I got for bulk create, and that's what I had for everything else for today. What else you guys got, or any questions or thoughts?
I have one question.
Yeah.
Because now I want to go back and work my brand kits because I have the colors, but there's the pictures that I have in uploads. Is there a way that you can put those in, add them to your brand kits, or would you have to download it and then put it in?
I would probably download it and then put it in.
Okay.
I don't think there's any way to add these. Yeah. Well, you can move them to folders, but I don't think that's not really a folder.
Be a brand, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you'd have to download it and put upload it to it.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Well, hopefully you guys got some good stuff. Well, actually, let me ask, did you get some good stuff out of this? Something that you will use in your business?
Yes.
What was your number one takeaway?
You gave a lot of helpful things. The thing I'm gonna probably do when we get off is go tag all of my house photos so that when I just type in the address, the right place comes up.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, I agree.
Same as Jen.
So the tagging of the images.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's huge, especially like if you're on a team and you want to, kind of put all the headshots together and know that, hey, I need to put Chris's image in this one. Boom. I need to put Jen's image and just have them very easily to access. You could use a folder for that too, but I think that the tagging on the uploads is very beneficial. I was watching one person on theirs, and they put everything into folders. So their uploads, they basically clear it out. They make it like, a zero inbox for uploads. So everything in their uploads is gone at the end of every day. It has a home somewhere else. I was like, well, that's interesting.
I love that idea.
Yeah.
This is just
I
a
would-
bit like an organizational question, Chris, but like when
Yeah.
you're done with a house and it's sold and everything's done, do you just go in there to your folder and then just delete it, or do you move it somewhere?
I haven't. You could create a folder that is just closed listings, right? And then just move it to that folder after. It's the same organization as a Dropbox or a Drive. It's got the subfolder capability as well. So, and then I would, like unstar it for sure. Like if that was a star because it's an active listing, at least unstar it, but then you could put it into a closed listing, because who knows when you're going to want to, create a testimonial from that image. I don't know why I don't think you're not using your storage space. So until Canva says that, hey, you've maxed out on the number of images you can have, I don't know that I would delete anything.
So Jen, in the perfect world, you are following up with those buyers and may need those old photos to do before and afters or something of the sort. So I wouldn't get rid of them either.
Yeah. If you were paying for space, that would be different, but I don't think there's any image limits in there yet. Awesome. Anybody else have anything? Well, I truly appreciate you guys hanging around. I'm going to drop in there one more time. I'm going to drop that Google review. If you like what you're getting out of your Tech Thursdays and you want to be so kind as to drop a review for Level Up Learning, that would be incredible. But I truly appreciate your time. And next week, if you are available, we've got the part 2 of Google Business Profile. And then I also dropped in many of the social channels, the calendar for February, for the rest of February as well. So we've got, I believe, so we got Google Business Profile next week. The week after that is going to be QR codes and links, and link shorteners. And then I forget what the rest of the month is. And then the end of the month, we've got a guest trainer who's going to go over RPR. But hopefully you're getting some good stuff out of this, and I appreciate your time.
Chris,
Yeah,
where-
thanks,
Thank you.
Chris.
Thanks.
What's
Is
that?
Kelly still on here?
Yeah.
She asked a question about the state, North Carolina State meetings, and LaDonna had updated the space the other day, and she's moved the meetings to only once a month, but she did put the link on there Wednesday. So if
The
Kelly
link is there. I think Kelly was looking for the recordings to
Yeah.
it as well.
Okay, yeah, she did make an announcement about that, but honestly, I didn't pay that much attention. So, it's just, but anyway, okay.
Awesome.
And
Well, thank
I
you.
just knew she just updated it Wednesday.
Thank you.
Awesome. So she's going to monthly on them now?
Going to monthly.
Yeah,
First
I
Wednesday of the
wasn't able to attend yesterday.
Yeah, I wasn't either. Anything earth shattering that was shared yesterday?
No.
Okay.
I was at an awesome event where Jen was feeding me Chick-fil-A, so that's why I missed it.
Oh, well, I understand the dilemma.
Awesome.
Okay,
All right. Well, thank you.
Chris,
Have a
Thank
great day.
you.
Thanks, Chris.
Bye.
recording be, Chris?
This recording will be on YouTube. I have a YouTube channel for that. And then, so if you go to Level Up Learning, it's on there. I also drop it in the WorkVivo space until they tell me to stop flooding the page with my own crap. And then, yeah, it's on social media too.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Bye.